it's quite astounding being right here with
Yes.
things, because it's quite rare that zoos have black leopards.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And to me, they're so different from the tigers and the lions that you usually see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so tell me about, who's this then?
This is Zoysa. This is the male.
Yeah.
He's a ham-rear cat, so which has its benefits but also has its negatives. So he's a carnivore. He's 11.5 stone of carnivore who is not frightened of you. So hence the reason why he will come up to you. He will try and interact with you. He does like human company, this particular cat. But don't get me wrong, if you went in there, he would kill you stone dead and wouldn't think twice about it, because that's what he's programmed to do. What we've just done here is, it's a way we can actually monitor the health of this particular individual cat. One thing cats don't do in captivity is use their sense of smell very much. So what we do is give them spices and herbs and things like catnips and things, and this is the response you get. And it enables us to be able to check him over without having to sedate him. It gives us a chance to check his teeth, check his well-being, check his pretty much anything, and make sure he's healthy. And it is rather cool to be this very, very close to a black leopard. Full stop. And you can see, I mean, he is solely getting himself in a bit of a stupor with the smells, with the sights, with it's actually paprika we've just used.
Really?
Yeah. And that's the noise is a greeting call.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you can see, he's basically saying hello. And you can go, oh no, and you're going to give us a little purr. And obviously we make sure that these things are nowhere near, because they will disappear into that. And he's completely at ease, completely on his terms, no issues, no forced, nothing is being, he hasn't been forced to do this, he just likes to be around us. And the smells and things only benefit him. Hello. And that's him effectively purring, saying hello, greeting. He normally does jump at the wire at you, like that. And that's because he's a cat and he's triggered by movement.
Yeah.
If you stand still, he doesn't do it. Or he'll do it once and then stop. And then do what we've done now. He's focused on the person who's just walked past the door, look.
Yeah.
Because it's moving.
Yeah.
This is a predator. That's what predators do. I know. You're a good boy. But he is, and there's a lot of teeth there. There's a lot of bite pressure. It's a phenomenally powerful animal. That is to trigger a response. That's to elicit us to go, ugh, because then it's, I'm a predator, I chase. Yeah. If you stand still, he does it once and then stops. Anyway. You're a good boy. The female, you may have noticed, has disappeared. She's a leopard which was reared by hand, by her parents, so she behaves as much as you can kind of try and second guess them, but she behaves like you would interpret a leopard to behave. Creatures of the shadows, really. Disappear into the undergrowth, come back out, dinner, back into the undergrowth. And again, if you think about them in our countryside, that's how they're going to act. They're not going to act anything differently, because I mean, these guys are Asian or African in where they should naturally be. But there's very little difference. We're lucky here at the zoo. We have some very, very good carnival keepers who have worked with cats a long time and act responsibly. Because especially with an animal like him, because he is so used to people, that's where mistakes could actually happen. But we're very, very lucky. We have some wonderful keepers who are very much in tune with their responsibilities to these kind of animals, and obviously to the visitor, you know? So the last thing you want is this getting out.
Well, One main question
Yes.
people ask about
Yes.
big cats in the wild
Yep.
is that when you look at an animal like this, how come there aren't more sort of human casualties and things like that?
Okay, yeah, and that's a very, 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 very good question to ask. But the reality is, when we talk about big cats in our countryside, where there is only one species, that. We're talking also about things like lynx, puma, and other cats like that. Those are documented 100% evidence to state that those exist. So if you think about this guy, it's not going to really be sedentary. It's not going to stay in one place. It's not like in the wild where they would naturally come, where these are hard fought territories. These guys, there's no pressure on them, so they roam. And like I said right at the beginning, when we consider Exmoor, it's a massive environment. It's a huge place. You know, where we are now, where the zoo is positioned, it's on the edge. So there is a degree of roads, there's farms, there's this, there's that, there's the other. But once you get off the beaten track, you're in effectively the middle of nowhere.
An animal like this,
Yep.
I mean, if this was a well-known part of our sort of British wildlife,
Yep.
which I think would be quite fascinating considering how it's such an amazing, fascinating and beautiful animal. What do you think needs to happen in terms of awareness, sort of, to help protect these? Are they at risk here?
Again, that's an interesting thing because they're not a species which is from this, the UK. Eurasian lynx became extinct a long time ago. This is, should it be saved? Well, probably not. We should look at the other species of cat we have in the UK, the Scottish wildcat, which is naturally occurring, but very, very much up against it. That is a species we should conserve. Whether we should conserve these kind of animals is open to debate, I think, in all fairness. There isn't any hard set terms of how many are out there. Nobody really knows. We are in contact with cryptozoologists who study animals which are somewhere they aren't naturally supposed to be, and we get them here quite often and they chat about potentially how many are there, what should we do about it, how do we go around it, what do we do, and it never really comes to any conclusions. It just goes round and round and round because they originally obviously escaped from zoos, circuses, wildlife parks. You could buy them from zoos. And of course, when the licensing changed for the Dangerous Wild Animal Act, you had to have a license to be able to keep this. So a lot of people, when they applied and got put through this system, eventually a knock would happen on the door. Have you got a leopard? And you go in your back garden and there's a leopard sat there. Well, it was confiscated, and quite rightly too. And they were placed in zoos around the UK and various other things. Some people were able to keep them because they ticked all the right boxes and did all the right things. And some people simply let them go. So, but there's no hard, fast, how many are there? So how can you conserve something when you don't know how much there is, and it's not a native species anyway? So that's where the grey area comes.